Did you know that if you have one of the newer generation Zidoo players, that you can actually access a WEBGUI and completely control your Zidoo player? Let's discuss. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to go to the home screen on our Zidoo. I'm using the Z20 Pro, but you need to click on the control center that you see highlighted here. And once you click on the control center, you'll be greeted with some QR codes that you can scan for Android, iPad, iOS, or you can type in the IP address that you'll see on screen, and yours will be different on your Zidoo. I just directly type in the IP address and it will take you to another screen. All right, now once you've scanned the QR code, you're going to be taken to the WEBGUI. Now, if this is your first time doing this, it's going to prompt you to create a password. I've already done that here, so it's not asking me, but you can see on my iPad, it is asking me for my password. I've already created one, so I'm going to go ahead and type that in. So I'm going to show you how this works on the desktop as well as my iPad. You can do this on, a mobile device, a tablet, a phone. It's pretty much going to work the same, but I just want to show you the options that you have. All right, so this is the WEBGUI. So you've got 4 tabs here. You've got your file tab, which will show you basically all of the storage options that you have. I have the internal storage. I have the hard drive that I have connected to the internal bay, and then you have SMB, which I can access over the network. Now, I'm mainly going to focus on the Posterwall, where you can go in and customize things, but I did want to show you the options that you have. So you have file, and then you have app. And if you click on any of these, it's going to open the application on your Zidoo. Right now, I'm in my office. I'm just using this on my computer, but if I were to click on this, it would actually open whatever application I choose here on the actual Zidoo. So you really only want to use this if you're sitting in front of the Zidoo, if maybe for whatever reason you don't want to use the remote, but just to let you know. And then you have a controller. So, you can control it with basically like a remote, but over the network. So you have this option as well. Again, if for whatever reason you don't want to use the physical remote, or you just want to log in remotely on your tablet, your phone, laptop, then you have that option. Okay, so when we click on poster, you can see you get pretty much the same Posterwall. Looks similar. Obviously it's going to look different on the web, on the desktop app versus on the actual Zidoo itself. So here you have your recently added, you have your history that you've watched, you have not watched, you have favorites. If you want to add a movie to a favorites, you would see that here. But this is very convenient because sometimes trying to if I decided I wanted to change a poster, one of the poster walls for a movie, sometimes it can be a little bit cumbersome with the remote. If you want to do this at a separate time and just basically go through all your movies, you don't have to be next to the Zidoo. The Zidoo has to be on for you to access this WEBGUI. But let's say I wanted to go in here and change the Flash's poster. So if I click on this little menu option here, I've got a couple options. I can hit play, I can hit tagged watched. I can, if I've already watched it, or if I started watching it and I don't want to finish the rest of it, I can mark it as watched. I've got remove from favorites. Right now, this movie is in one of my favorites. And then I have modified data, modify poster, rematch, clear match. So if I click on modify poster, I can go in here and change, the movie poster to whatever I want, or whatever options that I have. So let me pick one just so you can see. So if I wanted to change that to that one, I'll hit save. And now you see the movie poster has changed. I'm going to change that back because I don't really like that one. So I'm going to go back to here, hit save, and then it should refresh. So for some reason that one didn't save. Let me hit refresh and see what happens. And it still didn't save. So sometimes that'll happen. Let me go back here, click save, and now it's changed. So this isn't the most fluid. It's a little laggy. It's not as quick as I would think it should be working over the web, but it's not that bad. Okay, so let's say I wanted to go to a different movie. Let's see, Godzilla vs. Kong, and I want to modify data. So I can go in here and I can start typing. I can edit all this stuff. I can edit the release date. Maybe if some of the information is wrong, I can go in here and manually, change all this stuff. Or for whatever reason, maybe it can't find a movie. You can go in here and type it in manually. Then you've got collections. You can add it to one of your collections. You can, do categories, add to a new category. More, you can lock it for your children if you don't want them to watch it. And it's probably going to have I don't know why that's selected. Let's select that. But if you lock it, then I'm assuming if you try to watch it, it's probably going to prompt you for a passcode. I didn't know that was locked. I've watched this movie numerous times, so it hasn't prompted me for a code. So I'm not sure why that happened. So let's say one of my movies, it didn't pull up the right data and I need to rematch it. You would hit that little menu again. You would hit rematch. And then I can go in here and edit this. Now, one thing that's cool is that you can actually type in an IMDb ID to get the exact info. So let me go ahead and do that here. So I'm going to go to IMDb. So now I'm on the IMDb website, and if I type in Ready Player One, I'll select that. And then up here in the URL, you'll see this little code for every single movie and TV show on IMDb. If you copy this, right click, copy, and then go back to our WEBGUI. If I was to type that in here, I could put paste, search, and then you'll see the movie comes up. So that's another option that you have. If you have a movie poster or a movie, and for whatever reason Zidoo just can't find the metadata, if you can find it on IMDb and type it in there, it will pull up. So this is actually a very useful tool to use on the WEBGUI, because I'm pretty sure you can still type in the IMDb movie code on the Zidoo itself, but to me this is just a little bit easier to do than trying to, if you're already at the computer, you can just look up the code, versus if you're at the Zidoo, then you have to pull up your phone and you have to search for the code. So I would recommend, if you need to change anything or change, find movie poster metadata, then go to IMDb on your computer and just access the WEBGUI and do this from there. And then if I wanted to, clear the match, I can say clear matching information. I'm not going to do that right now, but if for whatever reason you needed to do that, then you can do that there. Now, if I actually click on the movie, then, I get pretty much the same metadata as I do on the physical Zidoo itself. So you've got the movie info. It even tells me, where the movie is stored, located on my network. So not only do I have this on the network, but I also have it stored on the hard drive in the internal bay. You're already familiar with this, but just to show you that you can basically control the Zidoo in the same way, just over the web on the WEBGUI. And then over here on the control center, you can see you've got your favorites, your history, not watched, movie, TV show, Blu-ray collections. And then I've got all my sources. These are all of where all my movies are stored, either on the network or, internally on the hard drive that's in the hard drive bay. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, it's not the smoothest, but you do have this option if you want to, do this offline, not offline, but if you don't want to mess with these settings and trying to fix certain movies and metadata while you're watching a movie, you can do this, any other time. You don't even have to be in the same room as you usually do. It's over the network and you have that option. All right, now let's hop over to the iPad so I can show you. It's pretty much going to look exactly the same, so I'm not going to spend too much time on here or on this, but this is the iPad. You've got the exact same look on the WEBGUI. If I go into poster, I can go in here and, it looks exactly the same as the desktop. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's basically the same thing, but I just wanted to show you that you can access this from, a mobile device. Now you actually have another option, which I've shown this in a couple videos, but you actually have a Zidoo controller app that's made specifically for mobile devices. So I'm using my iPad again, And this one might be a little bit more intuitive. I use this sometimes when I'm watching movies on my Zidoo. If I don't want to fiddle with the remote, it's like I've said this before in the videos, this is one of the best companion apps that I've ever seen. It is very in-depth, but it's also very easy. So if we see here on the iPad, you've got music player, remote control, Posterwall, apps, system, file explorer. So kind of the same like the WEBGUI, but it just looks a little bit different. So if I was to click on the apps, then you can see all the apps here. If I go back to home, you've got File Explorer, so it's going to show me all of my hard drives that are connected over the network, as well as the internal drive bay. And then if I go to Music Player, if I have music on my Zidoo, which I don't have any stored on the Zidoo itself, I can access music over the network, but you would do that here. And then you've got, you know, a bunch of different options that you can do. You've got musics, you've got artists, you can sort by albums, folders, and all that stuff. Again, we're just mainly focusing on the movie aspect. So then if I go to system settings, I can switch the frame rates, I can do bookmarks. So this is pretty much the same as it is on the Zidoo. It just looks different because it's on, you know, it's an actual app on a tablet or cell phone, mobile device. But you pretty much have all the same options. And again, if you don't want to use a physical remote, if you're somebody that likes to control things with apps, then you have this option here. And you can probably play with this stuff if you're, you know, watching a movie. You can run some tests if you're changing the audio, video settings and stuff like that. But my favorite way to use the controller app is with the Posterwall. So if I click on Posterwall, you see I have all these movies here. Again, it doesn't load as quickly as I would like, but nonetheless, you know, you do have tons of options. So you have recommended tabs, favorite tabs, you have recently watched, unwatched, recently added. And then if I go to source, I can see the hard drives here. But if I go to categories, then I can sort by movie, TV, Blu-ray, Blu-ray. Apparently there's a typo in there. 3D, 4K, collections, and then child, which is probably like mostly going to be animated stuff. But if I click on all, then you can see I can scroll through my entire library here, and looks like doesn't load as fast. It loads much faster on the Zidoo, which, you know, makes sense if you're storing all of that stuff locally. But if I wanted to click on a movie, then I can actually start playing the movie from the app here. I'm not going to do that now because I'm not in my theater, but I can hit play and then it'll start playing on the theater. And actually I'm going to hit play even though I'm not in there, but I can hit play and then you'll see that it's going to start playing and it resumes from the last point that I was at. And then I can go in here and I can, you know, rewind, and then I can, you know, fast forward, rewind. I can hit pause. I can control the volume if you're using the volume on the Zidoo itself. You're not using like your home theater or a receiver or processor or something like that. And I can hit stop. The movie is going to stop playing. And you can see the information over here on the left is 0, and then it stops playing. But yeah, like this is actually one of my favorite apps. I don't use it enough just because I'm always doing things and I'm testing equipment. But this is actually probably one of my favorite apps that I have for anything in my home. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of ways that you can control and access your new Zidoo players. I don't believe the previous Zidoo players have this function. This is something that's new. But if you do know of a way to access this on previous gen Zidoo players, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button and share it with your friends. And if you're not already subscribed, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell notification so you don't miss when I upload new videos. Catch you guys in the next video.